I want to say hello to all of my YouTube family out there. Thanks for everyone who's viewed my videos so far. And if you like the content, please like down below. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the videos, please hit the subscribe button. That will help me out long term. And by all means, you can hit the bell for notifications. I don't know that you'll get notified, but please subscribe, like if you like the videos, and leave me comments. Let me know how I'm doing, good, bad, or ugly. But again, thanks for viewing the content. And here I thought I was mad yesterday. Yesterday I did a video talking about the runoff elections in Georgia. Also this insane Stop the Steal rally that Trump was having in D.C. that includes, as you can tell with this video playing behind me, is by far the biggest nut job Kool-Aid drinkers of the Trump cult. And what Trump has created is a cult. I mean, there's no two ways around it. Donald Trump has created an insane cult filled with people who are willing to throw democracy out the window, to throw the Constitution out the window, to toss America aside, the America that used to be, and to create this Trumpian dictatorship. I mean, they are here for something called Stop the Steal rally. And what they were trying to do is steal the election from Joe Biden, the guy who won the election. That's what they are here for. Donald Trump is a whiny little bitch, and he lost the election. And all of these sycophants are upset because they're getting their heads filled with people like Steven Crowder and Fox News and OANN and Newsmax, and those people are doing nothing but feeding this false narrative that the election was stolen. You have things like the video footage of a guy pulling a wagon into a ballot counting facility. And Steven Crowder did a episode on his YouTube channel regarding that, saying that it was a wagon full of ballots and all this. And the thing is, it was debunked. What it was a cameraman in the middle of a 12-hour shift who got tired of carrying his equipment, using a wagon to haul his equipment in and out of the facility. That's what was going on. Nothing else. All of the different things people have pointed to saying, oh, this is election fraud, that's election fraud, have been debunked. There's nothing to it. There is no reality to it. There's no massive fraud. There's no election steal. What happened today in D.C. was the Trump fanatics trying to actually steal the election. And it's insane. You had the members of the House and the Senate who had to run and hide. You had the vice president, who I'm sure gladly ran and hid because he's got no backbone to begin with. And you had Trump and his supporters out there. Trump fed these people. The president of the United States fed and fomented the ire, the hate, the anger in these folks. And then you had Rudy Giuliani to top it off, telling these people that they were going to do trial by fire, whatever he meant by that. I mean, he's just saying things that he believes these folks want to hear. I mean, it is completely insane, and that is what they were getting filled with today. And you have, this is after they breached the Capitol building. This is the Trump Kool-Aid drinking cult crazies in the Capitol building after forcing their way in. And I mean, it is, you know, the white supremacist wet dream what went on today. It's befuddling that people are letting this happen. They're letting it happen. Lawmakers are, and don't get me wrong, there are some lawmakers who are doing the right thing. I read today that there were members of Trump's cabinet who were considering invoking the 25th Amendment, that Trump has lost it. He's gone off the deep end. We knew that 4 years ago, but finally somebody else is starting to realize, oh, maybe this might be bad. It might be bad to throw democracy away. It might be bad to have people invading the Capitol building. 3 people died. At least 3 people died today in all this madness. It's insane. It's sickening. You have this guy traipsing through the Capitol after they breached the Capitol. They were busting windows. They were breaking through doors. Here's a guy carrying a Confederate flag through. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? You're carrying a Confederate flag through the Capitol building of the United States of America. I get it. Your ancestors lost a war over 150 years ago. I get it. But why are you bringing this flag in here to finally say, oh, the Confederacy is inside the Capitol building? It's insane. And it's images like this that shows that racism is a part of what is driving these folks. It is these folks that believe our country is being taken away from us. And what you have to ask is, who's taking it away? And they, I'm sure, believe that there are people of color who are taking their country away, because why? People are getting rights. People have been getting rights for decades. We've been progressing as a nation, not as fast as we should have, but slowly. And this is a guy sitting at Nancy Pelosi's desk because I assume he wanted a nice clear view of him so police can find him and arrest him, because what they did was illegal. These guys are posing for the camera. I certainly hope there are police out there looking for them. It wouldn't be that hard to find somebody with such a clear photograph. Police have managed to find criminals with grainy security camera footage. Surely, with a high-res photograph like these guys are posing for, police can find them. Here's Buffalo Bill, whatever his name is. I think he calls himself the Q Shaman. Q, of course, standing for the QAnon conspiracy theory, which I don't even know if I want to do a video on that. This guy's posing behind the desk of the President of the Senate, which technically is Mike Pence. That would be his desk. And as you can see, that guy got up this morning and put that on and felt like it made sense to dress that way today. I mean, this is the same man. This is a closer shot of the same man. That's the Q Shaman. He got up this morning, decided, I'm going to go shirtless, a pair of slacks, and a buffalo skin on my head. Oh yeah, I need to paint my face too. I mean, he looks like he's going to a damn sports game. That's what he looks like. He looks ridiculous. I don't know if he realizes how ridiculous he looks, but he looks ridiculous. And the conspiracy theory that I'm assuming he subscribes to, since he is the Q Shaman, and QAnon, just to get in slightly to that, is a conspiracy theory where the Democrats and their supporters are satanic, cannibalistic pedophiles. I mean, any negative attribute you can put onto somebody, that's basically Q started out smaller and it got larger and larger as it went. And it's got to the point where my short description probably didn't do it justice for how crazy and off the hinges the QAnon conspiracy is. And we recently had some QAnon conspiracy theory followers elected to Congress. I mean, the ReTrumpican party is beyond the pale. They are beyond the pale at this point. I don't know that there is any saving grace for what these people are and what they believe. There are people who are protesting around the country, at state houses around the country, who have said they're ready to go to war. I mean, our democracy is teetering on the brink. And I hope the incoming president, President Biden, and Kamala Harris, who will be the vice president, I hope they have a plan to go through and prosecute the people involved in this. They broke into the Capitol building today. 3 people were killed. There were pipe bombs planted outside the Republican and Democrat headquarters in D.C. The RNC and DNC both had pipe bombs outside. I don't know if they found any explosives inside the Capitol building today. I don't know if these guys were going to go in there, party, take some photographs, then leave and let it blow up. I don't know what their plan was. I assume they didn't have a plan. I assume they got out there, they were talking all their crazy conspiracy theory nonsense to one another, getting all fired up. Then Trump came out, and he was no better. He was no better than what they were doing. And he was fomenting all of what they had been doing before he got there. Rudy Giuliani came, and like I said, was the icing on the cake. He came out there and made his comment that they were going to be doing trial by fire. Rudy Giuliani would lose any trial by fire. Even when Rudy Giuliani was younger, he would lose a trial by fire. Rudy Giuliani is a worthless, slimy politician who used a horrible tragedy in this country, 9/11, to try and build popularity and wealth and all of his appearances and all the things he's been making money on. He's been grifting off 9/11 for a long time because he happened to be the mayor when that happened. Not something you should be proud of. He didn't do anything to stop it. He didn't save anybody. But Rudy Giuliani went out there and did his trial by fire comment, and then these guys went wild, guys and girls. I mean, the woman who was shot earlier, that everybody reported she was shot, she was carried out of the building. She apparently was a former Air Force veteran. She was part of the protest. She was part of this crowd. She was one of the people who broke into the Capitol building, and she was shot by Capitol Police. I've heard there were at least 56 arrests, which is a very small number. And what I want to make clear in this video with the nonsense that happened today, because it can happen again. It very well could happen tomorrow, the next day, next week. It could happen again. And you should expect it to happen again on Inauguration Day. I mean, I'm just saying, if I can figure that out, hopefully the police can. There was an amazingly underwhelming police presence. There was an underwhelming police presence for the rally that was going on today by these Trump nuts. I mean, it is a stark contrast when the Black Lives Matter folks planned protests. There was an overwhelming police presence. So, I mean, let's put that in our heads and understand that if some black folks want to go out and protest peacefully against police brutality and harassment that they've been facing since black people existed in this country, there is an army of police. I mean, literally lining the streets, non-stop police in riot gear, armed to the hilt, with tear gas, with pepper bullets, pepper spray, and the best analysis I've seen so far, the most comprehensive of the Black Lives Matter movement protests, was that around 93% of them involved no rioting, no looting. They were vast majority just peaceful events. And they involved people of all genders and races and nationalities. People went out in solidarity because they understand what the movement is about. They don't try to stop someone from explaining their point and put up talking points, BS talking points. That's typically what you get from Republicans when people try to explain what Black Lives Matter is doing. They try and interrupt and then start throwing out BS talking points. The Black Lives Matter people, all they were doing was putting together peaceful protests. And at the 7% or so that involved rioting and looting, some of that rioting and looting were these guys. Some of it were these guys, the people at this rally. You had the Proud Boys, you had all these different right-wing, racist groups who went to the Black Lives Matter protests and rioted and looted, and they were caught. Why did they go there and riot and loot? Because they were trying to undermine the movement. That's the thing. Here, I've seen on Fox News, I believe there was even some Republican elected officials in Washington trying to blame this on Antifa. Seriously. Saying Antifa is behind this. Look at this guy. This guy is not Antifa. This guy's Trump all the way. He has crazy Trump fan written all over his face. Literally. I mean, it's insane. But Fox News, and I don't know if there is some source that Republicans go through where they get on the same page. They get on the same page very fast. So I'm assuming what you're going to hear from OANN, Newsmax, Fox News, Steven Crowder, people like Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro. I'm assuming they're all going to get on the page of talking about Antifa with regard to this. Somehow. I don't know how. But they're going to figure out some way. I mean, this is the fascists. Antifa stands for anti-fascist. This is the kind of thing the Antifa folks are opposed to. I mean, let's face it, these guys were raiding the Capitol building using stochastic terrorism to try and keep Trump in power as a fascist. That's literally what the Antifa folks are fighting against. And I don't know that all these people will use that same talking point, but since Fox News is, I'm assuming a lot of other people will as well. They're going to try to find some way to say, oh, this isn't Trump and his supporters. No, it's Trump and his supporters. This is their true colors. It's truly unfortunate, but that's what this is. And what we need is politicians who will prosecute it. That's what we need. We need people to come into office, Biden, Harris, that's you, to prosecute these people. And I mean, I don't know in the end how many Republicans went through with their plan to object to the counting of the ballots. Eventually in the evening, Congress came back. They went back to counting the ballots. This whole thing erupted and stopped them, I believe, after they got the first state. They got to one state, and then all this happened, and everybody had to leave because the Capitol Police were like, we can't protect you. And the Capitol Police, I guess, were assuming, oh, these people were a vast majority white, so we weren't worried. But, oh crap, they're crazy. Whereas a group of black folks protest, and the police presence is overwhelming. And the police brutality is overwhelming. But there were a group of Republicans in the House and the Senate. I know some of them did. I mean, what's his name? Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz went through with his plan. He objected to the counting of the ballots. Ted Cruz, he is nothing but 200 pounds, a 200-pound sack of flaccid, worthless dicks. Inadequate dicks. That's what he is. A 200-pound bag of flaccid, inadequate dicks. That's Ted Cruz. But he went through with his plan because he was in the 2016 Republican primary. You know, in 2024, He's running for president again, and he wants all of these Trump nuts to support him. He wants to be able to say, I was with you when we stormed the Capitol. I was with you when they stole the presidency from you. They stole your country. We've got more brown and black people here than you want, or whatever his whole agenda is, whatever he's going to run on. But he's trying to get on the good side of these Trump nuts, because it is the ReTrumpican party. Ted Cruz wants to run for the ReTrumpican nomination in 2024. That's why Ted Cruz is doing what he's doing. That's why all these Republicans are. Let's be real with ourselves. They know this is stupid. They know their objections are going to go nowhere. They can't go anywhere. All they would accomplish was delaying the inevitable. No matter what, at the end of the day today, those votes are going to be, the ballots are going to be unsealed and counted. That's all today was about. It was a ceremonial tradition to have these goofy mahogany boxes carrying these ballots, go to the Senate, and the vice president sits there as the president of the Senate and unseals the ballots, and they go state by state and verify that, yes, Joe Biden got 306 electoral votes, he won the election. That's all today was about, until the Trump nuts turned it into a mess. And now they're all over the country. They're all over the country threatening violence, threatening civil war. Our democracy is hanging by a thread. And Joe Biden can make videos in his basement or wherever he's hiding all he wants. At some point, he's got to take action. Joe Biden is the guy saying, we need to work with this other side. We need to stretch out our hand to these folks. I mean, literally, that's what he's saying. I don't get it, but that's Donald Trump's, or that's Joe Biden's whole thing. I mean, literally, do you think you are going to reach across the aisle to this guy and accomplish anything? You think you're going to get that guy to agree to anything? He's off the deep end. You know, I'm not saying all of the ReTrumpican party voters are off the deep end, are too far gone to be saved. I assume some of these folks live their lives in a reasonable manner. For some reason, when it gets to politics, they become completely unreasonable. But you're not going to reach across any aisle and get these folks to do anything sane. I mean, they literally invaded the Capitol to try and keep Trump in as president today. You've got them around the country threatening civil war to keep Trump in office, to keep the dumbest, most inadequate president we've ever had in my lifetime in office. They're drinking the Kool-Aid of the Trump cult 100%, and they're gone. I got into a bit of a Facebook argument today with a woman who was trying to both sides it. She was basically saying that, the rioters in the Black Lives Matter movement and these rioters, they're all bad. I don't like any of it. And that's the thing. She doesn't see that she's part of the problem. She doesn't see that peacefully protesting a legitimate grief is very different from violently protesting the candidate you voted for lost an election. There's a big difference there. And both sidesing it doesn't work and doesn't help. But we saw what's possible today. A little bit. Just a little bit we saw what's possible today. It's all over the country, and there are millions of them. These nut jobs that were in Washington today, there are millions of them across the country. Maybe it's your aunt, your uncle, maybe it's your neighbor, your brother, your cousin. Maybe you don't know anybody who's this far gone. I hope I don't. Out of my friends and family, I hope nobody that I know is this far gone. But I don't know for sure because I know plenty of people that vote ReTrumpican. So I don't know. And everybody needs to make sure they're aware. This can happen again tomorrow, the next day. Nobody should be so clueless that they would go to the inauguration. We would get to the inauguration on the 20th of January, and people thinking, oh, that's not going to happen again. It couldn't possibly happen again. I mean, 56 arrests. There were thousands of people there that were overrunning the Capitol building. 56 arrests. That's not enough. I mean, you had that many arrests in peaceful protests during the Black Lives Matter rallies, movements, the peaceful protests. What they were doing was just protesting injustice, police brutality, the police harassment, and you had this many arrests. This was trying to overthrow the government. Everyone who was out there, including Trump and Rudy Giuliani, including the Republicans, the ReTrumpicans in Congress, that still, after all this, went ahead with their objection to the counting of the ballots, they're traitors. They're traitors because they were trying to undermine the country. And they all need to be brought up on charges. You know? So be it. If they go to court and a court finds that they're not guilty, so be it. They all need to be charged. They all need to be arrested. They all need to be charged. Plenty of these people today posed for pictures. You can see them clearly in the photograph. It was them. You can go find them. The Q Shaman, I don't know if he looks like that every day. I assume not. I assume he dressed up particularly crazy today because it was crazy day for the Trump cult. But you can see who they are. They all need to be arrested. They all need to be charged with treason, including the elected officials in Congress, including Trump, including Giuliani. I believe Ilhan Omar had tweeted that she was drawing up articles of impeachment on Trump. Great. They need to be presented. If Nancy Pelosi does not present them, she's not doing her job. And she should not have ever tried to become the speaker again. Because she's doing nothing. She's doing nothing to help this. I mean, burying your head in the sand and hoping it goes away isn't doing something. So please, hold your elected representatives accountable. I don't care if they're Republican Party or Democrat. Hold them accountable. All of these people need to be charged. At some point, we have to hold these people accountable, our elected officials. They've got to start doing their job. Thanks for watching the video.